Have you ever been told that if your kidney numbers are getting worse, the safest thing you can do is stop eating meat, only to feel weaker, more exhausted, and more frightened with every passing week? What if I told you that this one piece of advice, repeated to millions of people, may actually be accelerating kidney decline rather than protecting it? Because right now across the United States, countless patients with rising creatinine and frequent nighttime urination are unknowingly making a choice that pushes their kidneys closer to failure, not farther from it. I'm Dr. Mark Ellis, and I need you to understand this clearly. The danger isn't always what you're eating. It's often what you've been afraid to eat. I've seen patients do everything they thought was right, cutting out meat, completely surviving on thin soups and vegetables. Yet within months, their muscle mass collapsed, their energy vanished, infections appeared more often, and their kidney function worsened at an alarming speed. This isn't a rare exception. It's a silent pattern that medicine doesn't talk about enough, and it's costing people their strength, their independence, and in some cases, their chance to avoid dialysis. The truth is, kidneys don't fail only from overload. They also fail from starvation, especially protein starvation, and the warning signs often show up too late. But here's the part that changes everything, and this is why I want you to stay with me. Kidney health is not about eliminating meat. It's about choosing the right meat in the right amount, prepared in a way that supports your body instead of draining it. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how certain carefully selected meats can stabilize, creatinine preserve, muscle reduce nighttime urination, and give your kidneys the support they desperately need without extremes, without fear, and without guesswork. And once you understand this, the way you look at food kidney disease and your own future will never be the same again. Skinless chicken is often the first place we start, not because it's trendy, but because it's one of the safest ways to nourish a weakened kidney without pushing it closer to failure. When kidney numbers rise, most people don't panic about sodium or dehydration. First, they panic about meat. Chicken is usually the only protein they still allow themselves, yet many are still eating it the wrong way or avoiding it out of fear, and that fear is costing them strength. I want to tell you about a patient I'll call Robert, a 64-year-old retired teacher. When his creatinine crept up, he did what many people do. He cut out red meat, then pork, and eventually chicken too. Within months, he wasn't stronger. He was weaker. His legs felt heavy. He struggled climbing stairs. Nighttime urination increased, not decreased. When we looked closer, the problem wasn't protein overload. It was protein loss. His body was breaking down muscle just to survive, and that breakdown was sending more waste into his bloodstream for the kidneys to filter. This is where skinless chicken matters. From a physiological standpoint, chicken breast provides high-quality complete protein with relatively low saturated fat, which means your body can absorb what it needs without producing excessive metabolic waste. Roughly 25 to 27 grams of protein per 100 grams, but more importantly, that protein is efficient. The kidneys don't struggle with it the same way they do with fatty or processed meats. In fact, clinical nutrition data consistently shows that patients who maintain lean muscle mass tend to experience slower kidney decline, not faster. And here's something most people don't realize: when you lose muscle, creatinine doesn't automatically improve, it often worsens. Creatinine is a breakdown product of muscle metabolism. When muscle is destroyed rapidly because of protein deficiency, creatinine can spike despite eating clean. This is why eliminating meat entirely can backfire so dramatically. Skinless chicken helps prevent that downward spiral by preserving muscle while keeping the filtration load manageable. But preparation is everything. The moment chicken skin stays on the equation changes. Chicken skin is loaded with saturated fat, which contributes to vascular stiffness, higher blood pressure, and reduced blood flow to the kidneys. Blood pressure is one of the most aggressive accelerators of kidney damage. Removing the skin isn't a preference, it's a protective decision. Boiled, steamed, lightly baked, or gently stewed chicken keeps the protein intact without introducing oxidative stress from high heat or excess oil. In practical terms, this doesn't require complicated math. For many adults with kidney concerns, a palm-sized portion of skinless chicken per day, not piled into one meal but spaced sensibly, can help maintain strength, reduce fatigue, and even improve sleep by stabilizing energy levels overnight. Several patients report fewer nighttime bathroom trips simply because their bodies are no longer in a catabolic stress state by midnight. So if you've been avoiding chicken, because you were told less protein is safer. Understand this, the kidney doesn't just fail from overload, it also fails from deprivation. Skinless chicken, when eaten correctly, becomes a stabilizer, not a threat. It feeds your muscles, supports immune resilience, and reduces the internal stress signals that silently exhaust kidney tissue over time. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because the next protein most people eat every week may either calm kidney inflammation or quietly make it worse in ways almost no one talks about. If skinless chicken is what protects muscle and prevents silent breakdown, then small fatty fish is what calms the fire that quietly destroys the kidneys from the inside out. And this is where many people get confused, because not all fish helps the kidneys, some actually make things worse. The difference isn't subtle, and it isn't about taste. It's about inflammation, blood flow, and what your kidneys are forced to endure every single day. I remember a patient named Linda, 58 years old, who thought she was doing everything right. She avoided meat, ate light, and replaced it with large portions of fish, mostly tuna steaks and grilled salmon. Her blood pressure kept creeping up, her ankles swelled by evening, and nighttime urination became relentless. When we looked closer, the issue wasn't fish itself, it was the wrong fish, eaten the wrong way too often. Once we switched her to smaller fatty fish, just 2 to 3 times a week, the change was measurable. Her blood pressure stabilized, morning swelling reduced, and her sleep improved within weeks. Here's the science behind that shift. Small fatty fish, like sardines, anchovies, mackerel, and herring, are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which are among the most powerful natural anti-inflammatory compounds we know of. Chronic kidney disease is at its core an inflammatory condition. Persistent low-grade inflammation damages the delicate blood vessels that feed the kidneys, reducing filtration efficiency over time. Omega-3s help reduce that inflammatory signaling, improve endothelial function, and make blood vessels more flexible, which directly lowers pressure inside the kidney's filtration units. Studies consistently show that people who consume omega-3-rich fish have lower rates of hypertension, slower progression of kidney decline, and better cardiovascular outcomes, all of which matter because high blood pressure is one of the fastest ways to accelerate kidney failure. And there's another critical advantage that almost no one talks about. Small fish carry far less mercury and heavy metals than large predatory fish. Tuna, swordfish, and large salmon accumulate toxins over long lifespans, and those toxins must be filtered by the liver and kidneys, exactly what weakened kidneys can't afford. From a nutritional standpoint, small fatty fish provide around 18 to 22 grams of high-quality protein per 100 grams, along with vitamin D, iodine, and selenium nutrients that support immune function and energy metabolism. When the body is less inflamed and better nourished, nighttime stress hormones drop, fluid balance improves, and many patients notice fewer bathroom trips at night, not because they're drinking less water, but because their kidneys are finally working under calmer conditions. Preparation matters here too. Steamed, gently baked, or lightly stewed fish preserves omega-3 structure. Deep frying or heavy salting does the opposite. It oxidizes fats and increases fluid retention. This isn't about eating fish every day. For most people with kidney concerns, 2 to 3 small servings per week is enough to deliver benefits without creating overload. So while chicken stabilizes your foundation, small fatty fish protect the blood vessels and inflammation pathways that decide how fast kidney damage progresses. And this combination, muscle preservation plus inflammation control, is powerful. But even that isn't the full picture, because there's another protein hiding in plain sight that many people eat daily, and when chosen incorrectly, it quietly drains energy instead of restoring it. If small fatty fish cools inflammation and protects blood flow to the kidneys, then lean pork is what quietly restores daily energy without overwhelming a fragile system. This is where many people hesitate, because pork has been unfairly labeled as too heavy for kidney health. But the problem has never been pork itself, it's the cut, the processing, and the portion. When those three are wrong, pork drains energy. When they're right, it does the opposite. I think of a patient named Daniel, 60 years old, who complained that even after fixing his diet, he still felt drained by midday. His labs weren't catastrophic, but his fatigue was constant. He avoided pork entirely, believing it was too rich, and relied mostly on vegetables and occasional fish. The issue wasn't inflammation anymore, it was energy metabolism. His muscles weren't breaking down as fast, but they weren't being fueled properly either. Once we introduced small, consistent portions of lean pork loin, his stamina improved within weeks. Not dramatically overnight, but steadily, noticeably, and sustainably. Here's why lean pork plays a unique role. Pork loin provides high-quality protein with relatively low fat, similar to chicken. But what makes it different is its vitamin B content, especially vitamin B1 thiamine. Thiamine is critical for converting food into usable energy at the cellular level. When kidney function is compromised, energy production becomes inefficient. People feel heavy, foggy, and exhausted even when they're eating healthy. Studies show that inadequate B vitamin intake can worsen fatigue, muscle weakness, and reduced physical endurance symptoms, commonly mistaken for kidney progression itself. From a nutritional standpoint, 100 grams of lean pork loin provides about 20 to 22 grams of protein, with minimal saturated fat, making it digestible and kidney-friendly when eaten in moderation. Unlike processed pork products, sausages, bacon, deli meats, fresh lean pork does not contain excess sodium phosphates or preservatives that force the kidneys to retain fluid and raise blood pressure. That distinction matters more than most people realize. Processed meats are inflammatory. Lean, unprocessed pork is not. Preparation again makes the difference between support and harm. Boiled, lightly steamed, or gently stewed pork maintains protein quality without oxidizing fats. Once pork is fried, glazed, or heavily seasoned, sodium spikes, water retention increases and nighttime urination worsens. This is why many people think pork causes swelling. It's not the meat, it's the method. In practice, a modest portion about the size of your palm combined with vegetables is enough to replenish energy without pushing filtration limits. There's another overlooked benefit here. When daily energy improves, stress hormones fall. Lower stress hormones mean less nighttime cortisol, better fluid balance, and often fewer trips to the bathroom after midnight. Patients frequently report that they don't just feel stronger, they sleep better. That's not coincidence. It's physiology responding to proper nourishment. So while chicken preserves muscle and fish calms inflammation, lean pork restores the metabolic fuel that keeps your body from slipping into chronic exhaustion. It fills a gap many diets leave behind, especially in people who've been restricting food out of fear for too long. But even with muscle-protected, inflammation controlled, and energy restored, there's one final factor that can quietly determine whether the body keeps up or begins to fail under the surface. And it's the one most people are afraid to eat at all. If lean pork restores daily energy and helps the body feel functional again, then lean beef is what determines whether that strength actually lasts or slowly fades into weakness and dependence. This is the protein most people with kidney concerns fear the most, and ironically, it's often the one their bodies are silently begging for. Beef isn't dangerous by default. What's dangerous is misunderstanding when, how, and how much to eat it. I want you to picture a patient named Michael, 67 years old. He followed every rule he thought would protect his kidneys. Low salt, plenty of vegetables, almost no red meat. On paper, his diet looked perfect. In reality, he was dizzy when standing short of breath on stairs and exhausted by early afternoon. His labs revealed mild anemia, something incredibly common in people with reduced kidney function. The problem wasn't worsening kidney damage. It was insufficient iron and declining muscle oxygenation. Once small, controlled portions of lean beef were reintroduced, his strength didn't just improve, it stabilized. Here's why lean beef plays such a critical role. Beef is one of the richest sources of heme iron, the form of iron that the human body absorbs most efficiently. Unlike plant iron or supplements, heme iron doesn't rely heavily on digestive conversion. That matters because kidney disease often interferes with red blood cell production, leading to chronic fatigue, cold intolerance, and shortness of breath. Without enough oxygen delivery to muscles and organs, the body compensates by increasing stress hormones, and those hormones quietly accelerate kidney decline. From a nutritional standpoint, 100 grams of lean beef provides about 22 to 26 grams of high-quality protein, along with vitamin B12, zinc, and bioavailable iron. These nutrients are essential for maintaining muscle immune defense and neurological clarity. When anemia improves, circulation improves. When circulation improves, kidney tissue receives steadier blood flow. This is not about pushing the kidneys harder. It's about removing the internal stressors that force them into constant compensation. But this is where precision matters more than power. Lean beef is not an everyday protein for fragile kidneys. 1 to 2 small servings per week, carefully prepared, is often enough to deliver benefits without increasing filtration burden. The cut matters: tenderloin, top sirloin, eye of round, lean, trimmed, and simple. Grilling, heavily curing, or turning beef into processed products like jerky or sausages reverses the benefit entirely by increasing sodium oxidative compounds and fluid retention. Preparation should be gentle, slow cooking, light steaming, or soft stewing with vegetables. When beef is eaten this way, many patients notice something subtle but profound: their endurance returns. They don't just feel less tired, they feel capable again. Walking feels easier. Balance improves. And with better oxygen delivery, nighttime rest becomes deeper and more restorative. So while chicken protects muscle, fish calms inflammation, and pork restores energy, lean beef safeguards resilience. It helps prevent the slow slide into frailty that so often determines whether someone remains independent or becomes medically fragile far sooner than expected. But even understanding all 4 of these proteins isn't the final safeguard, because one overlooked habit unrelated to meat itself can still undo everything and quietly decide whether the kidneys recover or continue to decline. Before we end, I want you to hear this clearly and calmly. If you're dealing with kidney issues, rising creatinine, or restless nights from frequent urination, you are not failing your body and you are not out of options. Small, consistent choices made with understanding can genuinely change the direction of your health. You don't need extreme diets, fear-based restrictions, or expensive supplements. What you need is clarity, balance, and patience with yourself as your body recovers step by step. If this video helped you see kidney health in a new, more hopeful way, I encourage you to save it, because these principles are easy to forget when fear takes over. And please consider subscribing to this channel, because here we share the latest medical insights, explained simply and honestly, to help you protect your kidneys, preserve your strength, and make confident decisions about your health. I read your comments, and this channel is built for people who want real understanding, not panic. Most importantly, remember this: your kidneys respond to how you care for your body over time, not overnight. When you nourish yourself correctly, rest well, and stay informed, your body often responds more positively than you expect. There is still room for improvement, still room for stability, and still room for a life that feels lighter, calmer, and more in your control. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.